Good day, everyone. In this video, we're going to tackle an important and insightful topic, which is performance evaluation in the workplace. This is a crucial aspect of organizational and human resource management, and something that you will likely encounter in your own career paths. Now, whether you are an entrepreneur running your own business, a manager leading a team, or an employee eager to understand how your performance is assessed, having a solid understanding of performance evaluation tools, common errors in rating, and who exactly should evaluate performance is essential. During the course of this lecture, we will look into the various performance evaluation tools at our disposal, from the traditional methods such as graphic rating scale to the use of 360-degree feedback system. Moreover, we're going to examine the common errors that can creep into performance ratings. This may include biases like the halo, horn effects, among others. So, recognizing these pitfalls is the first step to overcoming them, leading to a more objective and constructive evaluations. Finally, we will be exploring who should be in the driver's seat when it comes to performance evaluation. Is it the immediate supervisor, a panel of senior management, peers, subordinates, or perhaps should it be a combination of multiple parties? Answering these questions will help us understand the nuances and complexities of performance appraisal. So, by the end of this lecture, I hope you will be equipped with a broader knowledge and understanding of performance evaluation, which is a skill that is invaluable in today's fast paced working environment. So, when we say performance evaluation, ito yung mga ika-cover natin mga na topic, right? When we say about performance evaluation, sounds like this is a business jargon, right? But don't let the term fool you. It's something that has been part of your life as students and will continue to be crucial as you transition in the professional world. Think back to the times when you received grades or comments on your assignments or exams. Those were performance evaluations. Your teachers use various tools to assess your understanding, your skill level, and even your progress. Just like your teachers needed ways to measure your learning, employers need ways to also determine how well employees are doing their jobs. That's where performance evaluation tools come into play in the workplace. In a work setting, these tools help managers to understand their team members' strengths, identify areas for improvement, and make decisions for promotions or training needs. They can range from simple methods like scoring someone's work to a more sophisticated one. So, just as your academic just as your academic grades can influence your study paths, job choices, and even scholarship, performance evaluation in the workplace can also impact employees' career trajectory, job satisfaction, and even overall growth. So, by understanding these tools, you already have a step ahead as you navigate the world of work. So, let us explore these performance evaluation tools together. So, the first performance evaluation method is the rating scales. Rating scales are one of the most common performance evaluation tools by organizations. They provide a simple, clear, and even quantifiable measure of an employee's performance, often on a range of job related dimensions. This involves a standard scale that measures various aspects of performance, such as teamwork, leadership, punctuality, quality of work. The employees then rated on each aspect, and these ratings are then compiled to give an overall performance score. Rating scales are being favored in the organization because it is simple and because of its ease of use. They can easily be understood by managers and employees, which makes the performance evaluation process more transparent. These scales are also allow managers to compare employees or teams and provide a quantifiable measure that can be tracked over time to assess improvements or declines in performances. Rating scales are simple and widely applicable method. but they can also be subjected to rater biases and may not capture all the nuances of performance. And we have two examples, common examples that being used in rating scale. First one is the graphic rating scale. It falls under the rating scales method of performance evaluation. So in this method, employees are evaluated using a scale that measures a range of job performance characteristics, each of which is defined by descriptive anchors such as poor, average, good, excellent, or even a numerical scale like 1 to 5 or 1 to 10. These scales are used to rate several aspects of the job performance, such as quality of work, quantity of work, dependability, cooperation, creativity, initiative, and leadership, and even more. So, an example of graphic rating scale in practice might be rating a customer service representative on categories like communication skills, problem solving ability, teamwork, customer satisfaction, each on a scale from 1 to 5, 1 being poor and 5 excellent. And this gives a clear, easy to understand assessment of employees' strength and areas needing improvement. And one of the most common example that you have probably encountered as a student is the evaluation of your professor's performance. Okay, that is an example of a graphic rating scale method. In this scenario, students would rate their professors on various aspects of teaching, such as clarity of instruction, engagement, knowledge of the subject, availability for help outside class, and many more. Each of these categories could be rated on a numerical scale, say 1 is poor to 5 excellent. Then the average score for each category would then be calculated to provide an overall performance rating for the professor. So this method allows for easy comparison of performances across various dimensions and can help in identifying areas where a professor excels or may need improvement. However, it's important to note that while this method, graphic rating scale, is very straightforward and easy to use, it can also be subjective as it lies on students' perceptions and experiences. So it's still susceptible to various biases such as recency effect, or even halo effect, which will be discussed later on as we go on in our discussion. In the next example of rating scale is the use of bars or behaviorally anchored rating scale. Bars combines the graphic rating scale with behavioral descriptions of performances. It uses specific behavioral examples to anchor each point on the rating scale, making the evaluation more objective and specific. Behaviorally, anchor the rating scale bars is a performance evaluation method that combines yung nga sinasabi ko, graphic rating scale with behavioral descriptions. So let's try to provide you an example. Okay, let's think about it in terms of customer service. Imagine you run a coffee shop and you want to rate your staff's customer service skills. So a bar for this might look something like this. For example, we have here 1 point poor yung kanyang description, and meron siyang specific na, na description dyan: ignores the customer, doesn't smile, and is rude. So kapag ganun yung naging performance niya, you rate them 1. Then average, and then we have here excellent. So if we were be going to use bars in this example, you notice that the employee who always greeted customers cheerfully and remembered their orders, you might give them a score of 5. So the good thing about the use of bars is that it is really clear about what each score means. So it can be really helpful for letting people know exactly what they need to improve at work. So bars gives clear examples of what behavior would earn an employee, yung mga points na yan, dun sa mga scores na nalagay dyan, and it leaves less room for subjective interpretation and bias because it focuses on observable behaviors. So the specific examples I provided you make it clear what performance is expected at each level or at each score, which can help employees understand exactly what they need to do to improve. So bars offer more detailed and specific feedback compared to other rating system. Kasi nga ito ay it's all about describing specific behaviors that relate to job performance. So To sum it up, bars can provide clearer, more specific, and more actionable feedback to employees about their performance. The next example of performance evaluation method is yung ranking and paired comparison. So they are both comparative evaluation methods because they involve comparing employees to one another rather than the specific performance standards. So let's try to look into the ranking first. What is ranking? In the ranking method, the manager ranks his or her employees from highest performing to lowest performing. So the top rank employee is considered the best performer, while the bottom rank employee is considered the least effective. And this method is relatively simple to use and eliminates possibility of leniency or strictest bias. However, it may not be as useful for larger teams because it doesn't indicate the difference in performance between two consecutively ranked employees. For instance, as a manager of a sales team, I might rank my sales associates based on the amount of sales they have made in the last quarter. The associate with the highest sales would be ranked first, while the one with the lowest sales would be at the bottom. But there's a downside in using ranking. In the ranking method of performance evaluation, competitiveness can be spurred among employees, potentially hindering collaboration. Another is this approach measures relative performance, which might not accurately reflect an individual's ability or improvements over time. Moreover, the methods lacks provision for specific constructive feedback, which limits its value for personal development. And also, ranking is susceptible to evaluator biases, potentially leading to unfair assessments. Okay, so those are the dangers of using ranking. And what about paired comparison method? Paired comparison it's a more detailed version of ranking wherein each employee is compared directly to every other employee one pair at a time. The employee who is deemed the better performer in each pair gets a point. The points are then tallied and then employees are ranked based on their total points. This method is more precise than simple ranking and can be useful when decisions about promotions or layoffs need to be made. However, this could be very time consuming, especially if you are working with a larger teams. To give you an example, if I had a team of customer service representatives, for example, I have 10, I might compare each representative with other representative in terms of customer satisfaction scores. And then in each pair, the rep with the high customer satisfaction score would get a point. After all the pairings are done, I would tally up the points to determine the ranking of the representatives. However, while it is useful in certain contexts, it also has its own downsides. It can be if someone it can be time consuming, especially in large organizations due to exponential increase in comparisons. It also presents a level of complexity in administration and interpretation, leading to potential confusion or misinterpretation. Just like the ranking method, it doesn't provide a detailed, actionable feedback for individuals' performance, limiting its effectiveness as development tool. And also, paired comparison approach is also prone to evaluator biases, which can affect the fairness of assessments. Okay, so we might also be careful in using this performance evaluation method. Next is the checklist method. It is a type of performance evaluation method where a series of questions is developed and the rater checks of whether the employee being evaluated meets or does not meet the criteria described by each question. Okay. So, for example, we are going back again to our common example, which is customer service representative. So, we might be having a checklist. It's like this one, the following questions. Does the representative answer customer calls promptly? Meets or does not meet? Yun lang, i-check lang natin yan. Does the representative provide accurate information to the customer? Check natin if na-meet or did not meet the criteria. Does the representative handle customer complaints in a calm and professional manner? meets or does not meet the criteria. So, yun yung uh, checklist method. Okay. So the evaluator would then go through the checklist, answer each question based on their observation for the representative's work. One of the advantages of checklist method is its simplicity and ease of use. However, it could be somewhat limited as it does not provide much room for detailed feedback or subjective assessments. And also, the quality of evaluation heavily depends on the quality of checklist use, making it essential that the checklist should be well developed and very job specific. Then we have here the critical incident technique. The critical incident technique is a method of performance evaluation where significant job-related events, behaviors, or incidents, both positive and negative, that had a strong impact on individuals' performance are recorded and reviewed. Yeah. So it's more of writing incidents that are critical in the performance of your job. Let's define what is a critical incident. The critical incident is a specific job-related event that stands out because of its significant impact on the outcome, whether positive or negative. So, essentially, merong tatlong steps na pwedeng gawin dyan sa critical incident technique, which is number one, identification of critical incidents. So, what are the specific instances of exceptionally good or poor performance that are being identified and recorded? And then afterwards, whenever a critical incident occurs, it should be properly recorded and documented. The record should include the context, what the employee did, and the outcome of their actions. It's important to be as specific and detailed as possible, as this will help when it's time to review these incidents. Then we have here review and discuss. During the performance review period, these incidents are reviewed and discussed with the employee, and this will now provides an opportunity to praise and even reinforce positive behaviors. And of course, you have to address and correct negative ones. It also allows for a more detailed discussion of the employee's actions and their consequences. Let's go back again to our example, yung customer service representative. We have here example of a positive critical incident and a negative critical incident. Okay, so you might want to read it. So again, this critical incident technique provides detailed qualitative data on employees' job performance, making it a valuable tool for performance evaluation. However, it still requires ongoing observation and documentation throughout the evaluation period, and the incidents recorded may not represent the employee's overall performance if they are not routinely recorded. Then we have here number 6, management by objectives. Management objectives involves, I hope you have encountered this already because as a business student, tinatackle to sa mga business subjects ninyo or other subjects ninyo along management. So MBO involves setting specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound objectives, which we call SMART objectives with employees. Performance is then evaluated based on the achievement of these objectives. And typically, there are 5 steps in MBO, which are the following. Number one, goal setting, wherein managers and employees collaboratively set specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound objectives. These objectives are aligned with the overall goals of the organization. Then we have planning. The objectives are broken down into actionable steps or tasks. Employees and managers discuss and agree upon the strategies and resources and timelines needed to achieve the objectives. Then, after planning, we have progress monitoring. Throughout the evaluation period, managers and employees track progress towards the objectives. And there might be also regular check-ins and feedback sessions to ensure that employees are on track and are receiving support as needed. Then we have here number 4, performance review. At the end of the evaluation period, the employee's performance is assessed based on the extent to which the objectives were achieved. The evaluation may include qualitative or quantitative data, qualitative feedback, and a discussion of strengths and areas for improvement. And number five, we have here performance feedback. After all the stages, it's now time for the managers to provide feedback to employees regarding their performance, acknowledging yung kanilang mga accomplishments, addressing challenges, and offering suggestions for growth and development. This feedback may also inform future goal setting. So, let me provide you an example of how MBO would be used as a performance evaluation method. Suppose you are a manager at a software development company and you have employee named Alex who is responsible for developing a new mobile app. So this is how MBO could be implemented in this scenario. Number one, the goal setting. You and Alex will sit down together and define the objectives for the upcoming performance period. And based on the organizational goals, you agree on the following SMART objectives for Alex. So we have your objective 1, objective 2, and objective 3. Okay. So that is aligned to the goals of the company. Then after goal setting, you will be proceeding to the second step, which is planning. You and Alex will now discuss the steps needed to accomplish each objective. So you will create a detailed project plan, assign tasks, allocate resources, and even establish deadlines. You also provide guidance on potential challenges and offer support where necessary. Then we proceed now to progress monitoring. Then throughout the performance period, you have to regularly check Alex, monitor his progress. You review completed tasks, address any obstacle or concerns, offer guidance or adjustments as needed. Alex provides updates on the development process, user feedback, and even marketing collaboration. Then performance review at the end of the 6-month evaluation period, you assess now Alex's performance based on the established objectives. You review objective outcomes such as the successful launch of the mobile app, the user rating, and even the effectiveness of the collaboration with other teams. You will be collecting data and feedback from users, team members, and stakeholders to evaluate achievement objectives. Then lastly, performance feedback. During the performance review session, you will now be providing feedback to Alex. You will acknowledge the successful launch of the app and positive user rating achieved within a specified time frame. You will also discuss areas where improvements can be made, such as further enhancing collaboration with other teams. And then together, you and Alex would identify areas of strength and development opportunities for future growth or for future goal setting. Okay? So that's how MBO works in performance evaluation. So through this MBO process, you and Alex have been able to set clear objectives, develop a plan, monitored progress, and also evaluated performance and provided feedback. And this approach help align individual goals with the organizational objectives, providing a structured framework for evaluation, and it also promotes ongoing communication and collaboration between managers and employees. And the last pala, no, the last performance evaluation method is that I'm going to share to you is the 360-degree feedback. So this is a performance evaluation method that involves gathering feedback from multiple sources who have regular interaction with the employee being evaluated. So the sources could include supervisors, peers, subordinates, and sometimes even customers or clients. Remember that the goal of 360-degree feedback is to provide a comprehensive and well-rounded assessment of employees' performance and behavior. And also para ma-reduce yung biases involved in single method, maganda na meron din tayong tinatawag na multiple rating. So these are some of the areas where 360 feedback could be beneficial to the organization and even to the employees being evaluated. Number one, multiple perspective. Unlike the traditional performance evaluations, which primarily rely on feedback from a single source, itong 360-degree feedback gathers inputs from various individuals who interact with the employee in different capacities. This can include individuals at different hierarchical levels across departments and even external stakeholders. The diverse perspective offer a broader view of the employee's performance. Then also, uh, 360-degree feedback provides a comprehensive assessment of employees' performance, skills, competencies, and behavior. By incorporating feedback from different sources, it captures different aspects of the employee's work, including their collaboration skills, communication, effectiveness, leadership qualities, teamwork, and many more. This holistic view helps identify strengths, areas for improvements, and potential blind spots. Also, one of the key benefits of this method is its ability to enhance self awareness among employees. By receiving feedback from multiple sources, employees gain a broader understanding of how their actions and behaviors impact others. And this awareness can help them identify their strengths, areas for development, and opportunities for growth. It also encourages employees to take ownership of their development and seek targeted improvements. And then, lastly, there is also a balanced feedback. Okay, because this method tends to provide a more balanced assessment of an employee's performance. It reduces the risk of bias or incomplete information that may occur when relying solely on a supervisor's evaluation. So multiple viewpoints help provide a more accurate and comprehensive picture of an employee's strengths and areas that needs attention. So overall, the 360-degree feedback offers a more comprehensive and multi-perspective evaluation of employees' performance, providing valuable insights for development and performance improvement. Okay, so those are the performance methods that is commonly used inside the organizations. They have their own strengths and weaknesses, and it's up to the organization and managers to decide which is the most appropriate performance method in their context. Okay, so let's proceed now to common errors made by raters during performance evaluation. As we all know, a rater is human, and all humans are subject to these cognitive biases. When we say cognitive biases in performance evaluation are psychological tendencies or errors in thinking that can influence the judgment of evaluator, leading to unfair and even inaccurate assessments of an employee's performance. There are systematic errors in thinking that affect the decisions and judgment that people make, and these biases can significantly affect the objectivity and fairness of performance evaluations, leading to potential issues in employee morale, retention, and overall productivity. So the first error is the halo effect. Halo effect. Technically, this refers to a cognitive bias where the perception of a positive trait or behavior influences the overall evaluation of an individual. Essentially, it's when the halo of good qualities overshadows areas of weakness. It is named after the angelic halo and suggests that we naturally attribute all sorts of positives to people we like, while we attribute negatives to those we don't. Hmm. In the context of performance evaluation, it can lead to inaccurate or misleading feedback, which can hinder personal development and the overall productivity of a team or organization. Let's say, for example, you have a salesperson named John who is incredibly charismatic and well liked by clients. Because of his charm, he is often the center of attention at meetings and social events. However, John often falls short of his sales targets and is not very diligent with administrative tasks. But due to halo effect, John's supervisor might overlook his underperformance in sales and administrative tasks because of his high likability and charisma. Thus, John might receive high ratings in all areas in his performance evaluation, even though there are areas where he needs improvement. So, ganon nangyayari ang halo effect. Yan. Next, we have here the horn effect. It's a cognitive bias that causes one's perception of another negative light to influence their feelings about the person as a whole. So parang it's a direct opposite of the halo effect. While the halo effect focuses on positive traits influencing overall perception, the horn effect involves around negative traits. Yeah. So essentially, this means that if you have one negative trait or characteristic about a person, you will view all the other characteristics more negatively as well. Let's say, for example, if an individual performs poorly in a certain task, their manager may associate this poor performance with their overall capability and judge them as being generally incompetent or unfit even if they excel in other areas. This will negatively skew judgment, can affect their performance appraisal and other work-related outcomes. Let's say, for example, suppose there's a project manager, Emily, who is exceptionally skilled at her job. She consistently meets project deadlines, communicates well with her team, and produces high quality work. However, Emily has a habit of being blunt, sometimes perceived as rude in her communication style. Due to her blunt communication style, which might not sit well with other colleagues, her overall evaluation may be affected. Despite her competence and efficiency, Emily's perceived rudeness could overshadow her skills and achievements in her performance evaluation due to horn effect. Right? Did you get that? Okay, another error is leniency or the leniency bias. It's a type of that occurs during performance appraisal when raters consistently rate individuals higher than their actual performance merits. This bias tends to occur because raters want to avoid conflict or discomfort that might arise from giving low ratings. The problem with leniency bias is that it can significantly distort performance appraisals, making them less useful for both individuals and organizations. And also, leniency bias can be particularly problematic when performance appraisals are used for decisions about promotions, raises, or terminations. If everyone is being rated as above average, it can be difficult now to distinguish truly exceptional performers from those who are merely adequate or even subpar. Okay, let's say, for example, imagine a team leader, Rachel, who is responsible for conducting performance appraisals of her team. Rachel dislikes confrontation and doesn't want to create a negative environment. So she consistently gives all her team members high ratings regardless of their actual performance. So for instance, one of her team members, Mark, has been underperforming and missing deadlines, yet Rachel rates him as meeting expectations to avoid difficult conversations about his performance. And as a result of this leniency bias, several issues might arise. First, Mark doesn't receive the feedback he needs to improve. Second, the high-performing team members may feel undervalued because their exceptional work isn't being recognized as everyone seems to be getting the same high ratings. So that's leniency. Next is the central tendency, also known as the rating of central tendency or a central tendency bias. Very common ito na cognitive biases that occurs during performance evaluation. This happens when a rater avoids making extreme judgment, both positive and negative, about the individual's performance. Instead, rates most employees as average, regardless of their actual performance. So, in performance evaluation, this bias tends to occur when raters either find it difficult to distinguish between the performance levels of their employees or wish to avoid controversy and potential negative repercussions associated with low or high ratings. Example, suppose a supervisor, Jennifer, has a team with varied performance levels. Some members, like Alice, consistently exceed expectations, going above and beyond in their role. Some members, like Bob, perform adequately but not exceptionally, and some others, like Charlie, frequently fail to meet targets. However, when it comes time for performance evaluations already, Jennifer, yung kanilang manager, rates all team members as meeting expectations. Alice, the high performer, will not be recognized anymore for her exceptional work. Bob's satisfactory work is equated with Alice's superior work. Parang the same na lang sila. And Charlie's performance issues are not identified for improvement. So, Jennifer's rating now displays a clear central tendency bias. Okay, I hope you get it. Then number 5, we have here recency bias, also known as recency effect. Okay, this cognitive bias favors recent events over historic ones. And this bias can affect how people remember past events, but it can also impact the decisions they make. In performance evaluations, recency bias occurs when the most recent events or performance disproportionately influence an employee's review, regardless of their performance throughout the entire evaluation period. The challenge with recency bias in performance evaluation is that it can distort the overall assessment of an employee's performance. If the employee performs exceptionally well in weeks leading up to their review, but was mediocre or below average for the rest of the year, the evaluator might give them a glowing review. On the flip side, if an employee generally performs well but makes a few mistakes close to the review period, they might receive an unfairly negative review. Let's say, for example, consider an employee, Thomas, who struggled at the beginning of the year to meet his targets. However, over the year, he diligently worked to improve his performance. And by the end of the year, he was consistently surpassing his targets. Yet, when his performance review comes around, his manager heavily focuses on his early struggles and does not give enough weight to his significant improvement and recent excellent performance. This is a clear example of our recency bias. Number 6, we have here similarity bias, or somehow being called a similarity attraction bias, similarity attraction bias. This causes individuals to be more favorable towards others who are similar to them. These similarities can be in terms of shared experiences, interests, values, or demographic characteristics, just like age, gender, ethnicity, and so on. In the context of performance evaluations, similarity bias can occur when a rater gives higher ratings to individuals who they perceive as being similar to themselves, regardless of the actual performance of the individuals. Okay, and this problem with similarity bias is that it can significantly distort performance evaluations, leading to unfair outcomes. High performers might be overlooked if they don't share similarities with the rater, while those who are similar to the rater might be rated more favorably than their performance merits. Let's say, for example, Bill, who is a manager, who is also an avid sports enthusiast. He has two members, Jane and Mike. Jane shares Bill's interest in sports, and they often engage in friendly conversations about recent games. Mike, however, isn't interested in sports at all. So when it comes now the time for performance reviews, Bill subconsciously favors Jane because of their shared interests, despite the fact that Mike and Jane have similar performance levels. Jane receives an excellent review while Mike's review is merely satisfactory. In this case, Bill's similarity bias has affected his ability to accurately evaluate his team members. Okay? Then we have here the contrast effect. The contrast effect is a psychological phenomenon that affects our perception, whereby our impression of something or someone is influenced by the contrast with something else. In the context of performance evaluation, this bias occurs when assessment of an employee is influenced not by their absolute performance, but by how their performance compares to others who were evaluated recently. Mm. So, the issue with the contrast effects in performance review is that individuals' performance is not evaluated in isolation or in accordance to standard benchmark, but relative to the performance of their peers. And this can lead to skewed evaluation that don't accurately reflect an individual's actual performance. Let's say, for example, a manager named Sarah is doing performance evaluations for her team. She starts with her top performer, David, who is exceptional in his role. Sarah is impressed with David's achievement and gives him a high rating. Then right after David, Sarah evaluates Robert, who is an average performer. He meets expectation but doesn't stand out. However, immediately following the evaluation of David, Robert's performance might seem lackluster in contrast to David. This could lead Sarah to rate Robert lower than he deserves, not because of his performance are below average, but because it's not as extraordinary as David's. Yan yung contrast effect. And then, pinakahuli, we have here first impression or the primacy effect. Okay. Now, this happens when initial information, impression, or experiences carry more weight than information encountered later. This bias results from the tendency to attach more importance to the first information we learn about someone, which will now sets the tone for all future interactions. So in the context of performance evaluation, the primacy effect can cause a rater's initial impression of an individual to disproportionately influence the entire evaluation, regardless of the individual's subsequent performance. This can lead to distorted evaluations that are not reflective of an individual's actual performance over the entire evaluation period. So, for example, consider an employee Emma, si Emma, who started her new job excellently. She was energetic, proactive, and made strong positive impression on her supervisor, Mark. However, as time passed, Emma's performance dropped. She started missing deadlines, her work was less accurate, and she seems less engaged. And when it comes time for performance evaluation, Mark still has the first impression of Emma being a top performer, and this influences his evaluation. Despite the recent performance slump of Emma, she still receives an average performance rating based on Mark's lingering first impression. Okay? So those are the common errors made by raters during performance evaluations. I hope when you become an HR professional and somehow a manager, you will likely avoid this kind of performance evaluation and be more objective when you are rating performances of your subordinates or your other or your co-employees. Okay. So with these different errors, there are also strategies on how to combat these cognitive biases. Number one is objective performance criteria. So a clear, defined objective performance standards can help minimize the impact of biases by providing a consistent benchmark for all employees. And this should be supplemented with measurable performance indicators. Number two, structured evaluation form. Having a structured evaluation form can help evaluators focus on specific aspects of employees' performance and can limit the influence of biases. Number three, There must be a regular feedback and documentation. Regular check-ins or evaluations throughout the year can prevent biases, just like the recency effect and the primacy effect. And documenting performance issues and achievements as they happen can provide a more accurate and comprehensive record for the performance review. Also, having more than one person evaluate an employee can balance out individual biases. So, a 360-degree feedback process, which includes feedback from peers, subordinates, and other managers, can provide a more balanced overall assessment. And calibration meetings, this kind of meetings allow individual or allow evaluators to discuss their ratings before they finalize yung kanilang rating, reducing the potential influence of individual biases. And then blind reviews. As much as possible, consider incorporating blind reviews in which evaluators don't know the identity of the individual they're rating. This can help eliminate potential biases based on personal knowledge or perception. And overall, there must be a regular review of the performance evaluation process so that you could refine the performance evaluation process to ensure that a fair and it is fair and effective as possible. By implementing these strategies, organizations can minimize the impact of those cognitive biases discussed and enhance the fairness and accuracy of their performance evaluation. Okay, and last topic is who should evaluate performance. It's like what I said, performance evaluation is a critical part of employees' career development, and who evaluates performance can greatly impact the accuracy and effectiveness of this process. So there are several potential evaluators. First is the direct supervisor. Supervisor. In the most traditional evaluation systems, an employee's immediate supervisor or manager is responsible for conducting the performance review. They are often chosen because they directly work with the employee and have direct understanding of their day-to-day performance. However, this can also lead to potential biases as discussed in the previous questions. Also, we have here peers. Peer evaluations can be a valuable method for teams where collaboration and team dynamics are crucial because your peers often have a unique perspective of the individual's teamwork, communication skills, and even contribution to the group project. However, peer reviews can also be influenced by personal relationships and office politics. Next is the self evaluation. It allows employees to reflect on their own performance. This can promote self awareness and personal development, and also it could provide valuable insights for supervisors. However, self evaluation may be subjected to biases as well, wherein individuals either overestimate or underestimate their performance. Next is subordinates. Okay, subordinates or direct reports also evaluate a manager's performance. This can provide valuable insights into leadership skills, communication, and even employee engagement. However, fear of reprisal can sometimes make this feedback less honest and constructive. O, di ba? Mabuting da nga agree na babaw kasi baka aga boomerang kadigiti employee na nababati creating team managers. Okay? Customer clients, depending on the nature of job. Next pala tayo. Customers or clients may also provide useful feedback on employees' performance. This is particularly relevant for jobs and roles that involve direct customers, direct customer interaction or service. Hmm? Then we have here third-party evaluators. In some cases, External consultants or auditors may be brought in to conduct performance evaluations. And they can provide an impartial perspective, although they might lack the full context of internal working environment. Pwede rin yan, pwede rin outside evaluator. Then lastly, we have here multiple raters. This method combines feedback from all the above sources, supervisors, peers, subordinates, and even self, to provide a holistic view of your individual's performance. And ang aim naman talaga ng multiple rating is to minimize the impact of individual biases and provide a more balanced assessment. Okay? So in summary, choosing the appropriate evaluators often requires balancing the need for accurate and impartial assessments with practical constraints such as time and resources. And each method, meron niyang kanya-kanyang advantages and potential biases. So it is essential to choose an approach that best fits your organization's needs and culture. And also, regularly reviewing and refining the process can also ensure its ongoing effectiveness. Okay, so that's it. Thank you for sticking around. We've covered the wide range of tools at our disposal, from the traditional methods like graphic rating scale to 360-degree feedback. We also studied the common errors that can occur during performance evaluation, including various biases, and how recognizing them can lead to a more objective and constructive evaluation. We also explored into the complex issue of who should be responsible to performance evaluation. And it is my sincere hope that you gain a richer understanding and appreciation of the complexities and importance of performance evaluation in the workplace. And these insights, whether you are an entrepreneur, team leader, or employee, these are vital for fostering a culture of improvement, fairness, and growth. Remember that the goal of performance evaluation is not just about assessing individuals. It's more of facilitating learning, encouraging personal and professional development, and ultimately driving the success of the entire team and organization. So thank you once again for joining us today. Until next time, so keep learning, keep growing, and let's strive for excellence in all we do. So thank you and have a good day.